World's Finest number 3, written by Paul Levitz, art by George Perez and Kevin McGuire. Last issue left off with Power Girl and Huntress making their way into a power plant in Japan where this guy named Haku was feeding off the energy. And this issue picks it up with Huntress just basically trying to attack him with her arrows. And she seems like, some of them aren't connecting, but then she seems really confident in this one arrow, being like, not a chance. And she fires it off in this big dramatic, multi-panel sequence, and it still doesn't connect. So I'm not entirely sure the point of that sequence, but regardless, Haku's like, okay, well, I'm done feeding now, so I'm going to go. And he picks up some metal bars and just starts throwing them at super high speeds at Huntress. She's dodging out of the way out of all of it, but, running out of room very quickly. But then as she's managing to keep Haku distracted, Power Girl manages to creep up underneath and grab his leg and start crushing it in her hands. It's just like, okay, do what you're going to do and do it quick because this radiation really, really, really hurts. And so she fires off one more arrow, this time up into the cooling system up top of above Haku that then drops down on him. However, the cooling system was also irradiated. So it does nothing but feeds him more. And he's like, I'm so full. Please stop feeding me. And then he's like, all right, well, I hope that puts him out because that's generally all I got. But he runs away. He blasts through the roof of the building and just runs away. To which then Huntress pulls Power Girl up and she's like, hey, need you to wake up. We got to go. This place is really highly radioactive and I should not be here as a human being. So Power Girl wakes up, picks her up, and flies her out of the building. We then get 45 months ago in London. They're meeting up, just catching up on seeing what to do. And they're like, man, food here sucks. Next time, we're meeting up in Italy. And Huntress, I'm blanking on her name, Helena, pulls out a file and is just like, here's the deal. In this world, Batman has a Robin, but in my world, Robin had to be trained from birth. That's why I am his daughter. In this world, they just adopted some random kid and trained him. Sounds stupid to me, but regardless. And then she tries to pull out the Superman file, to which Kara literally doesn't want to know. She's like, nah, screw that. They're not my family. They're not my Kryptonians. They're not my problem. I'm going to be my own thing. So then there's just a really weird, sex joke here, where it's just, apparently Kara's sleeping around. And she's like, I'm just comparing to see if there's any anatomical differences between planets. That's all. So then she walks away and they say, all right, we'll meet up again in 6 months in Italy. So then we see what Kara was doing, and she's basically just trying to figure out the science of how to get back home, but she realizes she is hopelessly unable to figure that out. And she happens to look down at a Fortune magazine that I can only assume is Bill Gates on the front saying, if you can't build it, buy it. To then she's like, all right, well, how much money does it cost to buy some scientists? So then we see about 2 years pass. She's built up this company, Star Industries or whatever, and she's like, all right, how are the scientists doing? And she's asking her assistant. Assistant's like, yeah, they're working around the clock and they're not making any progress. The only thing we've heard in any sort of grapevine setting is that over in Michael Holt, a.k.a. Mr. Terrific's lab, he may have something similar, but he's not going to share that with not nobody. To which Karen then puts on her skimpiest outfit and is just like, well, we'll see what Michael Holt thinks of me when I really lay on the moves. And that's how we get into Mr. Terrific's entire book. Check that out if you really like punishing yourself, like me. So we cut back to now, and they're flying over to some major city in Japan. And as they're trying to fly there, Power Girl just drops Huntress off in a tree because this jet is literally falling out of the sky and is on fire. She pries open the canopy, gets the pilot out, and then tosses the rest into the ocean. And Huntress is like, yeah, they're scrambling a lot of jets over for the city over there. I can't tell what's going on over there, though, because of the bright neon light. To which Power Girl points out, that's no bright neon light. We turned Haku into a freaking kaiju. And he's just marching through Japan. So, yeah. That's a thing. So they make their way into the city. Huntress is doing some street level stuff of just saving random civilians who are caught in the path of destruction. Meanwhile, Power Girl is blasting away with heat vision and trying to smack him with a radio tower, which surprisingly genuinely works. And she smacks Haku and just blasts him all the way out into the deep ocean. So then Huntress and Power Girl regroup and they're like, all right, cool. We've knocked him out into the ocean. What's the plan? And Power Girl's like, I was actually kind of hoping you had a plan. Womp womp, issue over. It's good. It's fine. They keep on harping on this fact of like Haku said some stuff about like, oh, this world is marked for destruction, to which Huntress and Power Girl have taken to mean, oh, he must be from our planet. But then I'm just sitting there like, we've got a universe full of planets just in this universe. Like when he says this world, it could just mean Earth, not Earth Prime or Earth 1 or Earth. Technically, this is Earth 0. Regardless, it just seemed like a jump to me, and they've never really justified the point of why they think this guy's from a different planet, besides it really feels like it. And he destroyed the portal thing that they could have used to get back home. That's the only things that are working in their favor. The rest of it is iffy. So maybe he's not. Maybe he is just from this planet. Regardless, I'm sure we'll get the resolution within the next 2 issues because this book only collects up to issue 5. So overall, this one I'd say is probably a... I'll give it a 6.5, but it's a low 6.5 in that story-wise, it doesn't feel like it's doing a whole lot. I am just interested in the world building that they're doing of like, okay, how are we fleshing out these people's backstories of like why they did the stuff that they did when we actually caught up with them, aka Power Girl and Mr. Terrific and Huntress in her own book. But it still is a little bit shaky in terms of now in the present day stuff, like they're just fighting this radiation guy. And okay, that's fine if that's what you want to do. It just seems, I don't know, not the biggest outing for their first adventure. So, and art-wise, gotta be honest, George Perez, fantastic artist. I don't think that the coloring is doing him any favors in this. It's all very bright, and it really matches Kevin Maguire's style, who does all the flashback sequences. It really works for his stuff, but it doesn't work so much for George Perez's style. So a little bit down on that, but 6.5 is where I'm falling. We'll see how it turns out next month.